Alright, over here we have an equation. How do we know that it's an equation? Because it has an equal sign. The other thing that we can notice is that we have x's on both sides of this equal sign. So we have a 2x on the left-hand side and we have an x on the right-hand side. What that means is we need to group our like terms. So we're going to group our variables to the left and we're going to group our constants to the right, which means that I'm going to take this positive x from the right-hand side and I'm going to move it to the left-hand side. And I'm going to take the positive 8 from the left-hand side and I'm going to move it to the right-hand side. Now, the most important thing to remember is that what was there first stays and stays the same. So we have the 2x was there first, stays the same. The positive x, when it goes across the equal sign, now becomes a negative x, equal to the 12 was on the right hand side, stays first, stays the same. The positive 8 when it goes across now becomes negative 8. So we now have 2x minus x, which is x, equal to 12 minus 8, which is 4. Alright, now what we have is 9x minus 10 equal to 7x plus 24. So it doesn't matter whether I group my variables on the left or I group my variables on the right, so long as I group my like terms together. So I'm going to take the 7x to the left to be with the 9x. And I'm going to take the negative 10 to the right to be with the positive 24. What was there first, stays the same. So the 9x is already on the left-hand side, so the 9x stays on the left-hand side. The 7x, when it goes across, now becomes negative 7x because it was a positive 7x. Equal to the 24 stays the same, stays first. The negative 10 from the left-hand side, when it goes to the right-hand side, changes sign and becomes a positive 10. Now I have 9x minus 7x, which gives me 2x, and that is equal to 24 plus 10, which is 34. Now I have 2x equal to 34, and I don't want 2x, I want the x by itself. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to divide the left-hand side by 2, so that these 2's are going to cancel out. However, what I do to the one side, I have to do to the other side, so I'm going to divide the other side by 2 as well. And therefore, I would have 2x divided by 2, which is x, equal to 34 divided by 2, which is 17. Alright, now I have 6x minus 9 equal to 4x minus 1. So I have variables on both sides of the equal sign, so I need to group my variables together. So I'm going to take the positive 4x from the right-hand side to be with the 6x on the left-hand side. And I'm going to take the negative 9 from the left-hand side to be with the negative 1 on the right-hand side. The 6x was there first, stays the same. The 4x is currently a positive 4x on the right-hand side, so when it goes across, it now becomes a negative 4x. That will be equal to, the negative 1 is there first, stays the same, and the negative 9 when it goes across now becomes positive 9. So I have 6x minus 4x, which gives me 2x, equal to negative 1 plus 9, which is positive 8. But I don't want to have the 2x, I want to have the x by itself. So how am I going to isolate the x? I'm going to divide the left-hand side by 2 so that the 2's are going to cancel. However, what I do to the one side, I have to do to the other side. So I'm going to divide the 8 by 2 as well. So therefore, 2x divided by 2 gives me x equal to 8 divided by 2, which is 4. If I have 34 minus 12x equals 28x minus 36, now I could take the negative 12x to the right-hand side, that way it would become a positive 12x. However, I'm still going to take the 28x, I'm still going to collect my x's on the left-hand side. Remember, it doesn't matter whether you go left or right. I'm going to then take the 34 and I'm going to move it to the right-hand side. The negative 12x was there first, and stays the same. The 28x, when it goes across, now becomes negative 28x. That will be equal to negative 36, stays first, stays the same. The positive 34 When it's on the left-hand side, it's positive. When it goes to the right-hand side, it now becomes negative because it goes over the equal sign and it changes its sign. Now I have on the left-hand side minus 12x minus 28x, which gives me an answer of negative 40x, equal to negative 36 minus 34 is negative 70. But I don't want negative 40x, I want the x to be by itself. So in order to get that x by itself, I'm going to divide by the coefficient. The coefficient in this case is negative 40, so I'm going to divide by negative 40 so that the negative 40s cancel. What I do to the one side, however, I'm going to do to the other side, and I'm going to divide negative 70 by negative 40. So now I have negative 40x divided by negative 40x, which is x, equal to negative 70 divided by negative 40, and negative divided by negative is a positive. 70 divided by 40 becomes 7/4. Alright, in this question I'm going to have multiple steps. So firstly, I can notice that I have a variable on both sides of the equal sign. So I have x's on both sides. However, the other thing I notice is that I have brackets, which means that first I need to distribute to get rid of those brackets. So I'm going to distribute the 3 into the first bracket on the left-hand side, and I'm going to distribute the 10 into the second bracket on the right-hand side, and then I'll be able to solve this equation. So I'm going to take this 3 and I'm going to multiply it. Now there are 2 terms inside the bracket, which means I need to multiply with both the terms inside this bracket. So 3 times x is 3x, and 3 times 13 is positive 39. And that is equal to, now I'm going to take this 10 and I'm going to multiply this 10 into both of the terms in the second bracket. So 10 times x gives me 10x, and 10 times negative 1 gives me negative 10. Now I'm going to do the exact same process, and I'm going to group my like terms. So I'm going to take this 10x across the equal sign, and I am also going to take this 39 across the equal sign in the opposite direction. So the 3x was there first, stays the same. The positive 10x, when it goes across the equal sign, now becomes a negative 10x. That will be equal to, the negative 10 stays the same, stays first. The positive 39, when it goes across, now becomes a negative 39. So now what I have is 3x minus 10, which gives me negative 7x, equal to negative 10 minus 39, which is negative 49. But I don't want negative 7x, I want the x by itself, so I'm going to divide the left-hand side by negative 7 so that they cancel. What I do to the one side, however, I'm going to do to the other side as well. So therefore, I have negative 7x divided by negative 7, which is x, equal to a negative divided by negative, which is a positive, and 49 divided by 7, which is 7.